And welcome everyone to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2:00. We are live on YouTube, live on Facebook, talking about all things building a home on your land. Welcome to Tilson Tuesday. I'm Eric Alarid, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, coming at you live as we do each and every single week, joined by the great, the wonderful, the magnificent, the complementary colors that we have going on. Dawn Dantzler, Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience for Tilson Homes. Good afternoon, Dawn.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
It is fantastic. We are in the throes of fake fall. It's wonderful. First fake fall for sure. It's been amazing. We've had low temps. It's awesome. It is kind of a weird Venn diagram convalescence of things where we have fake fall mixed with a tropical storm in the Gulf. So this is where we are,
Sure.
and this is Texas. This is Texas in September. So we have dove season, we have football season, we have fake fall, we have tropical storms, we've got 60-degree weather, sunshine. It's gorgeous. It's wonderful. And
Nice.
you people who are new to the area, do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. It will be 90 in 48 hours. So hang in there.
Yeah.
Leave the sweaters up in the top of your closet for now. Don't need them yet. It's not time. Maybe a vest, maybe a parka, but don't go full sweater. Do not bring out the pumpkin spice yet. It is not time. It's not time here. Nope. Don't do it. Don't do it
September.
yet. If you bring out pumpkin spice, it will hit 100 in the third week of September. We have rules. We have rules. Okay. It's like to me, the pumpkin spice is a lot like Groundhog Day in the North. Okay, so like Groundhog Day in the North, he comes out, sees a shadow. If pumpkin spice comes out and feels cool weather too early, pumpkin spice brings 100-degree heat. That's what's up. So I don't have I have as much to validate that as I do Punxsutawney Phil, but prove me wrong. Okay, you go through the Farmer's Almanac. Prove me wrong. Anyway, all that to say, jump in. Tell us, ask us anything. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you're in. We want to hear from you about all things building on your land. If you have questions about construction, design, financing, site preparation, just the entire process altogether. How is building on my land different from buying a resale, different from buying in a production subdivision? What's the process all about? Why do people do this? If you have any questions or fears, dare I say, about the process, that's why we do this. That's why Dawn and I come in here every single Tuesday to listen to you guys, answer your questions, talk to our community, and increase that familiarity with the process so you understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We have found the happiest customers we have are the best informed customers. So people that ask lots of questions, that are inquisitive, that aren't embarrassed, they're vulnerable, and they get all this information. They soak up this stuff, and they're happy because they're not. There's no fear of the unknown anymore. Would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it's a
very
building a home on your land is a very different process than any other way of buying a home. It's not rolling up and buying a used home and you're seeing exactly what you're getting, or rolling up into one of those production communities where everybody has the same 6 houses and you know what you're getting because your neighbor probably has it. It's very different. There's a lot more work that needs to be done, a lot of more things that are involved. You have a lot more choices. You have to know what a culvert is, all of these kinds of things. And we are here to answer all of those questions for you.
That's exactly right. So do drop into the chat where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you're in, and of course, any questions you might have. And then while you're doing that, Dawn is going to tell us what in the world we're talking about today. What are we talking about today?
So guys, this is the Ask Us Anything about building on your land episode. I mean, you could ask us anything. Just our answers get less reliable the further you get from our core competency of, building a home on your land in Texas. But we'll give you our opinion on anything else. That's what we're here for. But yeah, we're just here to answer any of the questions that you guys have. So whether it's financing, design, I'm seeing some pricing questions coming through, land preparation, stuff like that. We are here to answer every single one of your questions and just get you guys as familiar with the process as we can. So
that's exactly right. And so we have a ton of people that also watch this show that are current customers and previous customers. They've already closed on their home. They're living in it. They're enjoying the rural lifestyle, and they're a great community to lean on for questions and answers. And they're here on Tilson Tuesday, but they're here throughout the time on both Facebook and YouTube to answer those kind of questions. They're They're not plants. We don't pay them. They're just here to help. You know, they want people to embrace this lifestyle like they did, and they want it to be as smooth as possible for you. And they're genuine about it. That's the best folks to get advice from. You know, probably certainly better than me. Maybe not better than Dawn, but we do welcome any and all questions. We want to hear from you guys. So jump into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you're in. And then as we roll through that, any questions at all. We have a few common ones that we have on deck ready to ask, or they're already prepared. Because there's a little politician in me that likes planted questions. You know, it's just the way it is. Keep it real. But anyway, no, we will answer any questions you want to ask us, guys. Truly, there are no bad questions. Financing is a big one. You know, don't be afraid to ask a financing question. We understand that's a huge item that must be bridged in this process. So site preparation, water wells, culverts, like Dawn says, septic systems, building permits. What if I have a house already there? It has to be demolished. What about a mobile home that's sitting there already? If we're cutting 2 acres out of family land, how does that work? We want to share a well with someone else. What about the driveway? How does that happen? So all that stuff we're here to talk about. Design specifications, construction methods, why we do what we do. We're here to talk about that. So
absolutely.
Let's see who's here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We've got Anne who's joining us on YouTube. She's in Frisco. Wishing Navarro County prices would drop soon.
Yeah. Well, if people will quit moving to Navarro County, that will happen. I have bad news. People are not moving to Navarro County. I mean, I'm sorry. People are not stopping moving to Navarro County. So yeah, there's no crystal ball that's telling us prices are going to go down in Navarro County, Texas, particularly. I mean, so when you start talking about lakefront or lakeview property, that is an even more finite resource than land. I mean, land is obviously a finite resource. God's not making any more of it. And then when you start talking about lakefront land and lakeview property, it's even that much more of a finite resource. It's so more scarce. So those are places that you typically do not see prices go down. That's Lake Conroe, Lake Livingston, Richland Chambers Reservoir, which that one is, Lake Lake Hubbard, Lake LBJ, Lake Travis, which by the way is a stretch because Lake Travis is more of a rock place. Even Lake Buchanan, which is historically low all the time, prices don't go down. It's something weird about lakefront property. So, don't wait too long is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we got Misty saying hello from the San Jacinto XL in Hood County. Garage is organized and all 5 cars fit. Awesome. That's amazing.
Brilliant. 5 cars.
5 cars. What's a 6-car garage? So I guess we got some storage going on in the rest of it.
Space to move around, stretch.
Yeah. It's just a small little modest garage. I believe the story was that Misty got to do whatever she wanted to do on the inside if she built him the garage. So
fair enough.
I think it was a good compromise. We got KL Cougar saying hey from YouTube.
Howdy.
And asking what's the pricing on the casitas?
So they range depending on where you're building. They range, you know, obviously you're in the North Texas area, so you're probably in the $175,000 range on up to $250,000. It just depends on, because there's a couple of different iterations of it. We have 1 bedroom, a 2 bedroom, and then how much of a kitchen or kitchenette you actually want. Those are things that determine. So, like for instance, the one in Texas Grand Ranch where we have there in Huntsville. You know, that's kind of our 1 bedroom, no appliances, kind of bare bones casita. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath with the family room. And then in our Waco location, which there's a video of on our website, it's a 2 bedroom configuration. So 2 bedroom, 1 bath, has space for a stacking washer dryer.
Full kitchen.
So yeah, it has a full kitchen. That's exactly right. So it really depends on what how much space you need. And for those, you need to sit down with a consultant. But they do range. But the beauty of those is they can be done. And we had this question just come up today, actually. We build those on properties, obviously, that have nothing there yet or have an existing home already. In fact, we have a video of with a customer that we built a house that they built, not with us, some 15, 18 years ago in an acre subdivision. We came back, built a casita behind there. So the logistics of how do you work? And that one had everything. I mean, it had a house, it had a pool, it had, all the things. And so working with the county on permitting that and tying in septic systems and water and power and all those logistics, we can figure that out for you.
Yeah, that one we actually helped them match brick and make it look like that casita had been there from the beginning of time. So lots of flexibility there. And Looks like you're also saying you want to build, looking at land in like the Breckenridge home. Yeah, Breckenridge is gorgeous.
yeah.
You should head out to Weatherford if you're looking in the Cedar Hill, Waxahachie area. Make sure you go out to Weatherford and tour that home.
It has like a casita upstairs. It's like 1,100 square feet.
Yeah, sure. We got Denise saying, the afternoon from Pearland. I'm glad Francine turned east and hope she stays on her track.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I feel bad for our neighbors in Louisiana, but it looks like it's headed that way. But we had another one that was headed that way that did not. So stay prepared.
Yes, stay ready. We got Michelle saying hello from Kerrville. Looking forward to building the Gonzales in Kimball County. Awesome.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Out towards Junction.
Yeah.
That's on out there.
And KL Cougar is asking, do we have in-house financing?
Okay. So let's talk. The short answer is no. We don't do in-house financing, and you don't want in-house financing. Mm-hmm. You want all of the options that a mortgage broker has available. So builders that use in-house financing, typically those are designed for buyers who don't qualify for some type of conventional or government-backed loan program. And so in-house financing is a fancy way to say we're going to charge you a super high interest rate. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have any options. All right. So the answer is no, and you don't want in-house financing. What we do offer that sounds a little bit like it, but it's not in-house financing. We do offer an EasyBuy program. So we have a partner called Wagon Hill Home Loans. They are strategically set up for build on your lot, which is a very different animal when it comes to building a home and financing a home. And 99% of custom homes in Texas and in America, for that matter, are built using some type of a construction loan or draw schedule or interim financing. Where Tilson differs from that is we offer to build the home out of our own back pocket. So yes, we use our capital, our cash to build the home, but we do it based on you, the buyer, having a fully underwritten loan commitment. So a guaranteed permanent mortgage. Appraisal is done. They've collected all of your, 401k statements, bank statements, pay stubs, all that kind, and it's fully underwritten. So for a fact you have a mortgage in place when the house is finished. And so long as we get that guarantee from the mortgage company, we build the house from zero to completely finished out of using our own capital, and we don't charge you any interest on that money. You don't make payments while the house is under construction at all. There's no interest accruing on that money. And so in that term, that's probably the closest thing I would say we do to in-house financing is we do. Right. There's not a mortgage. There's not a third-party lender out there that we have to get with to collect money and make draw schedule payments or take interest and interim payments on a construction loan while under construction. We do have those programs available for buyers that works out for, but it's not something that we need to operate.
Okay, makes sense.
Hope that's helpful.
All right, we've got Eric saying hello from Beaumont. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Good to see you again.
Welcome back.
We've got Cindy Kelly watching from Allen, working through the pre-construction process, building in Grayson County. Awesome.
Very nice. You will very much love getting out of Collin County. No offense to Collin County, but there's not a lot of rural land left there. Great football stadiums, though.
Yeah. We got Tyler from Santa Fe building in Angelina right now. We're in the framing stage. Nice.
Very cool.
And Misty reports back that, yes, that was true. She got the kitchen and pantry and he got the garage. So that was
perfect. There you go.
On the San Jacinto.
That's a steal.
All right. And our friend from YouTube, her name is Kimberly, and she's watching from Waco. Hey, Kimberly.
Oh, welcome. That's awesome.
Nice. So we've got Sven, Salado build, deciding on a builder. Why are no driveways included? What options are there?
Great question. So, Sven, we never know how far we're doing. So are we building on a, city lot where we're 25 feet off the road? Or are we building on, and this is not exaggeration, we've built a home on 23,000 acre ranch where we were 7 miles off the highway. So, that's extreme. In fact, both of those are probably extreme. Typically what we do is on, a couple of acres, 2 to 10, 12 acres, something like that. But the fact of the matter is we don't really know how far off the road you're going to be. So rather than plug in some random amount that as though we put in 100 feet, well, if you're going to be 25 feet off the road, we're way overcharging.
You don't want to pay for 100.
Right. And if you're going to be a quarter of a mile off the road, that's a tease, right? It's not fair to say, oh, we include a driveway. Like, no, you include a fourth of a driveway, not a driveway.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do is at our site evaluation stage, we can get bids to put a construction drive and or permanent drive in on what you're doing. And a lot of customers, they don't know really what the layout they want until we get to that site evaluation, that stakeout phase. Like you think you have an idea of where it's going to go, but we may get out there, get the house position, tell you where the garage is going to be, and we may be able to reverse the plan to save money on the out of level or on the slope of the property, which will put the driveway on the other side. And sometimes the utility companies don't do what we and you think they should be doing. What you and I think doesn't matter, it turns out. So utility companies are going to put their power lines, their water lines, whatever, wherever they want to, with very little room for negotiation. And based on all of those factors play into where ultimately the driveway is going to go. We do have some select communities where we do include it. So a lot of the cities that we build in, we include a certain amount. Some of the acreage subdivisions we build in, like Republic Grand Ranch, Texas Grand Ranch, we do include a certain amount of construction and permanent driveway. So, but the pricing you're looking at on just the website, like county based, that's not going to include a driveway price. But as you get into the design centers and get pricing, some of the places are going to include that.
Okay, makes sense. All right, we've got Joe saying, hey, y'all, I'm Joe from West Texas. We'll be building at Rocky Hollow in San Saba County.
Oh, very cool. So you're moving east all the way to San Saba.
All right, we've got Janet saying hello from Wiley, building in Maybank.
Maybank, Texas. Fun
Awesome.
fact, Jack Tilson Alarid, second generation, he grew up in Maybank, Texas.
Oh, really?
He did. That is truly West Texas.
All right. We got Pam saying, good afternoon, starting the process and building in Angelina in Colorado County. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for joining us, Pam.
Joe is asking, are septic and water wells included in the build?
All right, Joe. So, I'm going to let Dawn take. I'm talking too much. Go ahead, Dawn.
So very much similar to what Eric was saying about the driveways. This is another thing that in that pricing that you're seeing on our website, it's not going to be included because we don't know whether you need that, whether you already have it on the property, all of this kind of stuff. Now, there are going to be communities like what he was talking about with Texas Grand Ranch or Republic Grand Ranch, where we know what the septic system costs and we've got that built into the pricing. But these are things we can help you figure out when you come to price. Water wells are a little like septic. We've pretty much got nailed down, and we can tell you specifically by county exactly what that would cost if we were to take care of that for you, or we can point you in the right direction to have somebody do that for you. Water wells are going to be a little bit more, there's much more variance to those, just because it's getting tougher and tougher to find water. So they're gonna have to drill however many times they're going to have to drill, and they're gonna have to go as deep as they need to go. So that pricing is going to be a little bit different, a little bit more, more to navigate with that, but we can kind of help point you in the right direction.
More real time. A lot more real time.
Yep. So not included in the pricing on the website, but that is something that on the septic side, we can definitely help you out with in our offices and figure out the pricing. The water wells, it's going to be more of a wide range, and we hope we get lucky the first time you drill, basically. And then we've got Tim watching from Southern California. Will the Lone Star be open to view in early October? Great news. It's actually open to view now. So that Lone Star model in Republic Grand Ranch is completed. We are still working on the landscaping. All of the weather keeps knocking us back. So we're not really excited about the tropical storm conditions that we'll have this weekend, as that's probably going to set us back a little bit more. But yeah, the home itself is done. It's beautiful. It's decorated. We're doing tours. We're just trying to get the yard in order still. So that's where we're going.
Who isn't, right?
Yeah. And then we've got Kevin saying, on the topic of driveway, assuming there's no city or HOA requirements, do you recommend concrete, asphalt, gravel, or a combination when considering durability, maintenance, etc.? All right, Eric's getting ready.
Okay, so let's start with what I don't. I shy away from asphalt. And not that there's anything wrong with asphalt, but most people won't spend the money on the necessary base to make the asphalt last. So asphalt needs a very solid, very well installed, very compacted properly base. And for what you're going to spend on that, you're not going to, and most people won't. The asphalt's not going to last. They'll put asphalt on top of not properly prepared base, and then they're upset in less than 24 months when it's split into pieces. So I stay away from that. I'm a combination guy, right? So I most of our customers are a long way off the road. And so concrete can get pretty expensive pretty quick. I'm a do it in phases kind of guy over time. Most of our customers plan on being in these homes a very long time, like over 20, 25 years. So you've got some time to do some phasing and spend all the money at once. So for me, I would probably, or not probably, what I did was I did a gravel driveway. So crushed limestone, crushed concrete. I prefer crushed limestone. It's less dusty in the summertime. They're both fine though. They're both perfectly adequate. And then basically the garage portion, the apron in front of my garage, I did that as concrete, right? So that way, we drive the whole driveway when it's raining or muddy or whatever, we're not tracking that or minimally tracking that into the garage and thereby into the house. So, that's me. And then maybe over time I might do concrete, probably not, but because I like playing on tractors, it gives me something to do. I like hooking up the box blade and just blading the road. It's therapeutic, it's cathartic, but that's just me.
Hobbies.
I know. Hey man, you can put on a good podcast or audiobook and noise canceling headphones and off to the races. So that's my recommendation. You do it in phases. If you can afford to do the driveway in concrete, that's what I would recommend. But just be sure the base is done well. And so if that's not really an option for you, the good news is if you'll do crushed concrete or crushed limestone over the next 3 to 5 years, as you're driving on top of it and as it rains on it and you're packing it in better and better, it will become an amazing base for if you do choose to do concrete or asphalt later on down the road.
Okay.
No pun intended. Nobody caught that. Nobody with it down the road.
Sorry.
Golly.
All right. So Kimberly is saying, I also noticed that you have some Mediterranean style homes. Do you also put on the clay style roofs? This is something that we can price for you. We also, there is an alternative product to the clay that's actually made out of concrete that looks the same. We can price that out for you too. There's several options that we can do on your roofing, but that is something that would be a custom price quote. But yeah, it is available. We got Sherry saying, hi, I was wondering, what is the normal time frame from signing with Tilson to getting the packet to submit to an HOA?
Typically about 60 days. So the biggest thing we're going to need is a full set of plans, obviously. And we typically, we won't submit those to the homeowner association until the customer has signed those plans. So because we want to build what we say we're going to build. So you do your agreement and everything, give us the deposit. We start working on plans. Obviously, we have to do a site evaluation to meet you at the property, get the house situated, because they're going to want a site plan. So they're going to want us to draw on something to show how far off the building lines we are, that we're not over the building lines, not over property lines, not over any easements. And they want the floor plan. They want front, side, and rear elevations. They may want us to calculate percentage of masonry that we're doing, depending on the restrictions. They may also want to see exterior colors. That's very common. They want us to submit the exterior. So you'll need to select your colors. So that's why I say it's usually at least 60 days before we're ready to submit to the homeowner association. There are a handful, ridiculous though it may sound, they actually require the engineer foundation design. Not that they have any idea what they're looking at, but I guess they just want to see that we spent some time, energy, and effort on building a plan. They do want to see, on the site plan, typically where the septic system is going to go, where the spray heads are going to go, driveway, if there's going to be one, any ancillary buildings. So if you're doing any kind of outbuildings, shops, pool, whatever, they want to see those things. So that's why it takes some time, because we need to get all those things drawn on a plan. So you get them located at the site with you and then drawn on a plan to submit.
Yep. And we want to make sure that it's your final selection so that we're showing them exactly
right. Yes. Yeah. They do not like when you change things that you submitted to them.
Yes. All right. We've got Joe saying, since you build first, I'm assuming I can get VA financing.
Sure. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, we do. We can do VA financing, FHA. Actually, if you live in Texas, there's a program called Texas Vet or Texas Veterans Land Board. has a specific VA-like product specifically for people who reside at Texas residents. So that's something to definitely look into. But yeah, Wagon Hill Home Loans can do FHA, VA, USDA, and conventional loans.
Okay. Sven is asking, can I get credit for Tilson kitchen appliances and have Tilson install appliances of my selection? For example, a fridge, oven, stovetop, dishwasher, or range hood.
How do we do that, Dawn?
So we can do it a couple ways. So you can take the contract to do the kitchen appliances, but in that case, we would expect you to actually do the install. If it was something that you were looking for us to install, we can do custom price quotes to get whatever appliances you were looking at. So if you had a specific brand that you wanted or a specific model number, we can go ahead and purchase those for you. But if you were planning to purchase those, we would also be looking to you to provide the installation. And that's really just a protection for our customers, because we don't want to get in a situation where you've bought it. We don't have what we need to actually install it. Since we weren't the ones that purchased it, we can't talk to the company about, so we end up in this massive finger pointing situation. So if that's something that you're going to take and you want to purchase the appliances, we would also like you to go ahead and take the contract to install them.
And what it is, Vin, it's whoever you buy them from, right? Like, so if you're buying them from Best Buy or, name the box store, they're going to have an installation program they're going to install.
Mm-hmm.
That way they're on the hook for everything. If
that way when they open the box, if they're missing something, they're responsible for getting whatever to install. And
damage in transit, there's no argument about who damaged it, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's what we've seen in the past with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if it's a all or none kind of thing. Like if there are appliances that you want that we either don't have or don't offer, which would be extremely rare, then you're going to be responsible for procuring them and installing them.
Absolutely. And what we would need from you if you're procuring them is we're just going to need the actual dimensions of those appliances so that we can plan your cabinetry properly so that they fit when they get there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then we've got Joseph asking, when will the Refugio and Angleton be expected to be completed? So on that one, the construction is actually complete on the Refugio. We are in the process of getting it staged. And by that, we just mean we're putting in all the furniture and everything to make it look like a house that you would want to live in. I would expect for that home to be ready for tours somewhere at the end of this month, beginning of next month. We should be completely done. You can go and look at it now. Just keep in mind that it's a work in progress. So it's got furniture coming in and it's not quite completely staged, but the construction is completed on that home. We've got Denise asking, do you have an estimate for concrete per square foot?
I don't. Not going to be super accurate. I think you're in the Brenham area, if I recall, Washington County, and I would budget somewhere between $7 and $10 per square foot for flat work, and that's what we would probably say concrete for driveways and sidewalks. So that's not slab. That's 4-inch thick concrete. 3,000 psi, 4-inch thick with 3/8 rebar on 16 or 18-inch centers, something like that.
Okay. Joe is asking if we do surveys or have a reference for a surveyor in San Saba County.
We'll need you to go through because you can't direct message through YouTube. So we need you to send us a message through the website, perhaps with a little more contact information, and we'll get you lined up with someone that does surveys out in that area.
Okay. Eric is speaking about concrete garage aprons. Do I wait until the house is finished, or is there a way to mix it into the home construction schedule?
I'd wait till it's done, man. That me personally. I want as few people driving on it as possible. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm not trying to think of a delicate way to say this. Not everyone has the same standards of a maintained vehicle with respect to leaking oil, things like that. And so the last thing we would want is for, somebody that we have out there working on the house, pull up on your driveway that's beautiful, brand new, gorgeous light gray, and then they leave and there's, a half a pint of oil on your driveway. So I'm a big fan of wait till it's done, wait till everybody's off of there, and then get it in. Let's get our final grade done. That's me personally. That's my recommendation. So,
okay.
And I say that as a guy that has at least one leaking diesel truck. So it's not allowed on driveways. It sits on grass. Mostly where I don't want grass. That's where it gets to sit.
Fair enough. We've got Sherry saying that she has been waiting she's 6 months into the process and still does not have the packet to submit to the HOA.
Yeah, that's a really
So
strange, given how our process works. I mean, I know looks like there was a deal started quite some time ago that somehow the deal died. So I'm not sure what the situation is. But yeah, we don't really have the whole story, it looks like. It looks like it was originally done back in March, and then that deal terminated for some reason, and then it started over again in June. So doesn't look like we're 6 months in. Looks like we're more like 60 days in from June, which is the date we would come back to. So yeah, I don't know. I do know, Sherry, that given our business model, that we lock you in on a price up front that we don't get paid for till the house is finished. It doesn't really make sense for us to delay this. So there's something else going on in the story, and I promise that we can get to the bottom of it with you and get it figured out and get you into construction, because that's the goal, obviously.
Yeah. So, all right. We got Joe saying, I purchased the property we're building on through the Texas Veterans Land Board. So that's good news for financing. All right,
Yeah,
great.
that's beautiful. Yeah. Look, he just validated me. Thank you, Joe. Everybody needs a little validation, and not just at a valet stand, like in life in general. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. We got Cassie saying hi from Colorado County. Pros and cons of conventional versus aerobic septic systems. We have relatively flat land with trees. Have heard that the conventional is out of sight, but may kill trees, cause problems with roots. Any major cons with aerobic?
Okay, so actually, I'd say the reverse is true on the roots are the ones that cause the problem, not the septic systems. So roots will grow towards water, right? That's what roots want. They want water. That's their whole job in the circle of life of a tree. Root, go find me nutrients, and one of those nutrients is water. So go find me moisture. Obviously, a high concentration of moisture is going to be on especially a conventional system, that field line. So a conventional system for them is
Yeah, your mic's just cut out of me, but I think you're back now.
I think I'm back. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, my Yeti is fact checking me. Okay, so there are broadly speaking, two types of septic systems: conventional and aerobic. Conventional is gravity. Basically, it's a tank in the ground, and then some form of field line, maybe a zigzag pattern, maybe a straight line, depends on your property, how much you have. And basically it's reliant upon the sun, literally, to dry out that ground and treat the wastewater. The solids are left in the tank. About every 6 to 8 years, you get the tank pumped out, depending on frequency of use. Aerobic system is designed for smaller pieces of property. So a lot of these acreage subdivision, things like that, where because you need a lot of space for a conventional system, and they can't be within so many feet of your own house. They can't be within so many feet of a water well. They can't be within so many feet of your neighbor's house or your neighbor's water well. So you start to really shrink down the space that you can use those in, such that the aerobic becomes a better alternative for smaller pieces of property. An aerobic system is an OSSF, or on-site sewage facility. It's literally a miniature on-site sewage treatment plant. Designed to treat the water for your home. It's calculated based on a percolation test. So a registered sanitarian or professional engineer comes out and digs a hole, like takes some soil samples, not the same for a foundation, but a little bit lighter grade. And basically they're seeing and calculating how much moisture that soil can percolate, just like coffee percolates through a filter. The water actually percolates through the coffee, through the filter, and then into your cup. Same thing. They're trying to see, okay, how many gallons per minute, how long does it take for this soil to absorb the wastewater? And obviously different soils can do it at different rates. And so based on the results of that, they'll decide how many square feet they need as a spray area or a drip area. Very, very rarely have to use a drip irrigation type septic system. That's usually if we're close to a body of water, lake, river, something like that. So 90% of the aerobic systems we install or see installed are the spray. They had 2 or 3 spray heads pop up. They spray the wastewater that's treated with chlorine around, and then that over time, between the sun and the soil, it goes away, evaporates. So, I mean, conventional, there's no mechanical devices whatsoever. As long as the earth is spinning, it will work. Okay. Again, you have to have it pumped out every now and then. You have to have aerobic pumped out every now and then. Probably the same thing every 5 to 7 years, depending on of level of use. Look, there's nothing, when you say there's maintenance involved in an aerobic system, it ain't much. Okay. You got an aerator, which is basically a miniature air compressor, and a irrigation pump, a water pump that pushes the water out through the spray heads. That's it. It's not, I mean, that, and you have the 15-year-old boys learning how to mow and sprinkler heads. Okay. That's not the aerobic system's fault. That's a training issue. I'm not speaking from experience, of course. It's hypothetical.
No.
But you can get the concrete donuts at Amazon in packs of 5. I highly recommend. So, all that to say, neither one of them will be a problem for the trees because you're actually spraying water for the trees to live. And you'll actually, in a really super, super drought, we haven't had one this year, thankfully, but in a drought, you can actually see where your septic system spray. Like you'll have 2 or 3 like green round circles in your yard because it's getting water. On an aerobic system. Conventional, you'll see like a straight line of green because it's got moisture. So the biggest deal is on a conventional, you do need to worry about if there's any trees close by because the roots are going to grow towards that moisture and they can get into that field line and they can really, really foul it up and prevent it from working. They can actually grow into the tank itself. Even a concrete tank, the roots can grow through there. The resilient the things are. It's amazing what nature will do to preserve life. So that's all you could think. If it's a conventional system, the thing with the conventional is you need a significant amount of property and kind of a lot of sand. So it starts to become a little more, you can still do them almost anywhere. But it does start to become an issue because there are the state, the Texas, who are they this week? It's not Trek. Anyway,
TCEQ.
It is TCEQ. Thank you, Dawn.
Yay!
All right, phone a friend. Yeah, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has parameters, and they're broader on conventional systems because it's not treated water. So the water from aerobic system is truly treated like it would be at a sewage treatment facility. So they don't restrict it as tightly. You can have water wells closer, septic systems closer, people's houses closer than you can with a conventional system. So that's really the biggest difference.
Okay, makes sense.
Maintenance.
Yes, I'm going to agree with Kevin. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but he's saying when I joined today, I didn't think I would learn so much about septic systems. Always a good time joining these lives. It's very educational. It's
actually one of the running jokes in our industry among the digital marketing professionals that we had no idea people would sit here and watch an hour episode about septic systems.
Yes, but yeah. Well, because who else is going to tell you these things? This is what we were talking about at the beginning, folks, that like there's some stuff you need to know. Like it's helpful to know. So these things are not surprises to you along the way. So we got Joe saying, I work on a drilling rig for 2 weeks, then off for 2 weeks. Are there any sweat equity opportunities for me to lower the building cost?
Joe, it's really going to be the upfront stuff. So yeah, there are. Clearing might be one, although that's a big undertaking because you need roots and root balls and all out. But fences, things like that, those are the biggest things you could probably do to save money on. There's not a whole lot else as far as during construction that you can help with that's going to knock a bunch of cost off at all, really. One that people used to inquire about that I definitely don't recommend you do is the cleanup contract. It is miserable, horrible work, and it does not pay a whole lot. You have to do a lot of houses for it to make. I mean, the people who do it make good money, but they're doing hundreds of homes, and that is one that is painful to do. So don't be tempted. Don't think about it. Don't do it. Enjoy the build. That's not part enjoyable. But yeah, the upfront stuff is some. Maybe if you have time to coordinate yourself, for example, with maybe a contractor to do driveway, a contractor to do the culvert and things like that. Like if you can manage that and get those dialed in those 2 weeks, like, hey, I want to meet the water well guy, the driveway guy, dirt contractor, and septic person, and then don't do that through us, maybe. But again, the flip side is if you're gone for 2 weeks and they don't show up during the 2 weeks, you're not there to manage.
Are we waiting 2 weeks for you to come back?
Yeah. Right. So that's the only thing. I mean, it's going to depend on, and forgive me, I don't remember where you're building a lot of comments, but it depends on the area of how the level of availability of those contractors.
Okay. We got Joseph saying, good afternoon. My fiance and I are building our Canyon C in Bandera County. The cement was just poured yesterday, and shout out to Priscilla from Tilson at Bernie on helping us.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. It's very exciting.
A good friend of mine, I got to tell you, a good friend of mine, Sean Welsh, is watching. He's trying to make me smile and laugh. So he's a good old Galveston County boy down there on the island, living the best life.
Awesome. Hi, Sean.
Shout out to Sean. I guess you know how to work YouTube for Facebook.
All right, we got Kimberly again. Do you build on land that's partial floodplain? I'm looking for land without floodplain, but was curious.
So yes, it depends on the place. Sean's a great resource for this, by the way.
Yes.
There's a little bit of it in Galveston County, but I'll say that yes, but every county has a little bit different requirement that they want you to meet, and what it's typically going to involve with is the finished floor level. So you've got the ground, and let's say that a portion of the property, let's say the property does slope to some degree. They may say, yeah, you can build on that, but we want the finished floor to be 18 inches above base flood elevation. So whatever FEMA has determined that the base flood elevation is for that particular property, and they have a website that can tell you like by the address or even by like exactly what that number is, then we have to be sure that our floor is 18 inches or whatever the requirement is. It could be 12 inches, could be 18, could be 24, could be 4 feet. You know, it depends on the county that you're building in. If you're talking about like 10 or 20 or 30 acres, it becomes a whole different conversation. It's way easier, right? Because usually what the case is on that large of a piece of acreage, it's like a creek that makes up one of the property lines that's, 1,000 feet from where the house site is. So it's not hard to prove that we're not building in the floodplain. But yes, we can build land as partial floodplain. Some insurance companies, some mortgage companies and insurance companies will require that you carry flood insurance if that's the case. Even if it is a larger tract, they're going to require that you carry flood insurance regardless of how far away that floodplain, that base flood elevation may be from the actual home site.
Okay. And then as a follow-up question, she was asking about a floor plan with a basement, and that's going to be a no. And specifically because of everything that we were talking about with flooding, and if you're looking in areas where there are floodplains, but honestly, anywhere that we build, we do not do basements, just because no matter how well you construct it, you are going to be battling issues with moisture, and we warranty our own homes, and it's a losing battle. Like, we do not recommend basements, and we do not build them.
Yeah.
That they're appropriate in some parts of the United States. Texas is not one of them.
This part of Texas. Part of Texas.
Clifford is saying hi from Justin County, building in Montauk County.
Very nice. Home of Justin Boots.
Yeah. All right. We've got Angela asking, can you explain the EasyBuy program? It sounds too good.
I did it once. It's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay. So like Eric was saying, with our EasyBuy program, we are actually funding all the cost of construction out of our capital, instead of having to go to a bank. And I know that does sound weird. And it sounds, almost borderline too good to be true, but that's just it's the way we operate. So we do not need a bank to finance the homes. We are fortunate enough to have enough capital that we can finance construction on our own. So unlike other companies, we don't have to get an outside lender to actually pay for the cost of construction while it is happening. So since we don't have that need, we pass those savings along to our customers. So what we're going to be looking for from you is for you to have 10% equity in the final value of your house. And that's going to be determined by a third-party appraisal that'll happen before construction even begins. And they're going to look at the property that you own and the home that you're planning to build on it and do a very typical, appraisal valuation. So they're going to look at comparable homes in the area that have sold recently and come up with, okay, this is the value of that final home that you're going to be building. And we're looking for you to already have 10% equity in that value of whatever that appraiser comes out and says. That's the amount that we're looking for. As long as you have that 10% equity already, and most of our customers already have that from owning their property, we are going to go ahead and build that home for you for just your $3,000 deposit, and we'll get paid at the end of the build. As Eric was saying, we do require that you are already pre-approved with a mortgage company for the permanent financing so that we know at the end that we are going to get paid. But that's really EasyBuy in a nutshell. We do have a longer video on our website that goes through all of the steps and explains all of it. But yeah, that's how we do business. And we are the only builder in Texas that offers that program.
And that's why, Angela. I mean, really, it sounds too good. We do it because nobody else can. That's why we do it.
Right. Yeah.
It is a competitive. Anybody can buy sticks, bricks, plywood, sheetrock, whatever. You can't replicate that. And actually, Jessica she put the exclamation point on there for you. Don't take our word for it. Jessica Hayes.
Yeah. Jessica's saying, I can confirm EasyBuy is legit. It has been such a blessing to not have to make additional payments during the builds, that we can focus on paying down other debt and buying appliances and furniture. Awesome. So yeah, it's very different, and it kind of sounds odd, but it is the way that we do business, and it is definitely a legit program. And it's the way
you should hear when we tell other builders about it. They really
when I explain it to other builders, they're like, you do what? You just like give people your money and you don't charge them any interest? Why? And I'm like, because you can't. So so yeah, that's why. And then let's see. Joseph is asking, at what point in the build process should we plan to install septic and well? Is it after rough in plumbing?
Good question. So very separate things. Question. So well needs to go in before that. The well needs to go in pretty early on in the process, before slab pour if possible, if not shortly thereafter, because we are going to need water to do a lot of the work. So a lot of the, paint, brick, stone, sheetrock, we need water to do that. And you'll need power to that well. And so we can have you coordinate. Are you handling that? Are we handling that? How's that going to be handled? That's usually the biggest question that comes up. Getting the well punched in and all that is not usually the biggest deal. It's how do we get power to it? So that needs to happen earlier on. Before we start construction is fine too, if it can be, but doesn't necessarily have to be. But we do have to have a plan, because when we do a septic design, we'll have to be able to locate where the well is supposed to be so that we can get a septic permit. As far as septic goes, it does not have to be done early. In fact, we prefer that you wait until after we're done with the outside of the home. So on what you see a lot of our board and bat homes. So basically after all that paint and everything is done on the board and bat, so the roof and the paint and all that is done on a board and bat house, that's a great time to start working on that. On a house that's brick or stone or stucco, once that part is complete, that'd be a good time. And the real reason behind that is we don't want to damage it. We don't want heavy trucks driving around it. And so once we're done with that part, we're kind of done with the outside of the house, apart from a final grade, but we'll hand do that part of the final grade around the septic system and flag it and all that kind of good stuff. So.
Okay. Makes sense. Joe is asking, for a 2,000 square footish home built on lots of gravel, granite, limestone, the rocky part of Rocky Hollow. Will that increase the building cost, and what time frame are we looking at from shovel to finish?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily increase the building cost, Joe. No. I mean, obviously, we're accustomed to working in that part of the world. Our engineers are based in Austin, Texas. I mean, they very much understand limestone and how it reacts to moisture, like a moisture, all that kind of good stuff. They're good to go on that. So that doesn't really change a whole lot of stuff. And then time frame, we're looking at 10 to 12 months total time. So that's from the time that you give us the deposit. We do all that pre-construction stuff. So the geotechnical investigation and site evaluation and color selections and engineering and septic design and permitting, HOA approval, all the way through construction is about 10 to 12 months. Our goal is 12 months or less.
Yeah. All right. And then Heather was asking pretty much the same question, but asking specifically on the construction side, from foundation pour to final walkthrough.
225 days, I believe, is what Mr. Ordino has pounded into the executive team's head and his construction team's head. It's 225.
Yes.
That's your number.
Goal. Yeah. All right. Kimberly's saying they've got 2 acres in Lake Ridge, Cedar Hill. So
beautiful. It's a pretty spot. Not far from Waxahachie.
We also have Sherry saying that she is using the EasyBuy, and it is great. They're very easy to work with and are very friendly. So.
There you go. Thanks, Sherry. Appreciate that.
Denise is asking, if our property is still financed, do you put a lien on the property with EasyBuy? So we are actually going to put a mechanics lien on the property, regardless of whether you already own on it or not. And that honestly is for both your protection and ours. For us, it makes sure that when we do finish the house, we are going to get paid for it. And it's not, I know that sounds scary, but if you were getting a construction loan, they're also putting a lien on your property. That's just, it's good business sense. It protects you, it protects us, it protects our future customers, that we know we're going to get paid for the work that we do. Now, if your property is financed, what we're going to do in that case, again, we would put a lien on the property, and then we're not going to take over that loan that you have on the property. We're going to be looking to you to make sure that you are continuing to make all of those payments during construction. And then at the end of construction, whatever you still own on that land note is going to roll into your final mortgage. So that's how that's going to work. Then Kimberly also has a question about EasyBuy. Can I have the option of making payments up until the closing?
Well, no, because you're not closing on the actual loan until the house is finished. So what you can do is save money and put that money down at closing. The beauty of EasyBuy is that you're not closing on that loan until the house is completely finished. You've done your walkthrough, you're happy, we finished all the punch out, and then you go to the title company and close on the actual permanent mortgage. So again, same thing. You could about usually 60 days out is when you're talking about locking a rate in. 2 weeks or a week out, the title company will actually ask you, hey, do you plan on bringing any money down to closing? And obviously you'd be communicating with the mortgage company and say, yeah, I'm bringing, whatever, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to put down to reduce my loan amount. And cool, no problem. Let's do that. And so you can actually do that up until the point of closing.
Okay, awesome. We got Jessica saying, well, thanks for the new fear. I didn't think about possible damage to the well. We were advised that power well and culvert were required prior to construction start.
I agree. By the way, they should be. There's some people have really long lead times on the water wells, Jessica. So I'm trying to speak for the whole state. If you're in a situation where you can get it put in first, highly recommend it. Absolutely should. And look, we're going to be careful. I recommend whoever flagged the what out of it, like orange tape, caution tape. Typically, it's not that close to the actual home site. It's not like whereas a septic system is usually like 10, 15 feet from out from the actual slab. So it's close. Water wells are traditionally, not always, 25, 50 feet away. They're not right on top of where the house is going to be. So it's not as much of a concern, and I don't want you do not worry your head about that. Don't do that.
All right. We've got Lisa asking, we are putting in a wood burning fireplace. Is there a reason the mantle would have to be placed at 6 feet 4 inches?
Potentially, yeah. That's a great question, Lisa, because mine had to do that, and it has to do with the fireplace. It gets so hot they want the mantle. The code requires that it be a certain amount of inch. I can't remember if it's 18, 24 or something like that, depending on the firebox itself, above the outside of the top of the opening of the firebox. So yes, this is our government protecting us again.
Aren't we glad they do? Okay, you've got Joseph.
I wasn't going to do that this time because I was called out last time.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
We hear you thinking it. It just comes out of my mouth.
You can see me wincing.
I was just going to say, if we gave you a number that specific, yes. There's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason.
All right. Joseph's great follow-up question. Do we decide the well location during site eval, 5 acres in East Texas, so trying to find the perfect location?
Most likely, yes. There could be some really odd indeterminate factors, Joseph, that require another visit, or maybe the water well person needs to come. I mean, ideally, if we get the septic designer out there at the same time, if you get septic guy, well guy, and our guy out there at the same time, that's like, and utility
company. Figure out the world,
right? But because otherwise, it kind of turns into, well, I want my stuff over here, like it's because of what's most convenient for them and their little bubble, right? We're humans, we're all that way. It's okay. But when they're all there, have to look at each other and accountable to one another, I have found historically the conversation goes very differently. It's a lot more collaborative. Things that couldn't possibly work in the absence of other people now suddenly are options. So that's what I recommend if it can be done. And if not, we'll be your intermediary for you. We'll go back and forth between them. Like, hey, can we move the well over here 20 feet and do this and that? But yeah, I mean, we can help then.
Okay. All right, we've got Ronnie on. He's saying we like the Lone Star model and would like to have it built. The sticking part is that Tilson wants us to sign a contract, but we can't get a price for the pad until we sign. Or did I miss something in the meeting?
That's pretty typical, Ronnie, because we don't. I mean, it depends on how finalized the plans are. Like, if you're pretty married to them and what area you're in, as to how some dirt companies won't bid it without a quote set of plans, and so we just want to be sure that we can get a good bid on that pad. I mean, the reality is, though, it's going to cost what it's going to cost. The Lone Star's a big house. It's going to be a big pad. We have a very big pad that ours is sitting on in Willis, Texas. So we're going to get multiple bids, competitive bids from multiple contractors. But yeah, if you give us an idea of where you're building, we can see if there's some way. But they're not really bound to that until we have a contract in place. So I mean, we can try and get a better idea dialed in, but it's probably not going to be finalized completely until actually after the site evaluation, quite frankly.
Okay. All right. Jessica's saying they're flying in for the first site visit this weekend, so she will be flagging that well all around. That's awesome. Lots of red flags. Got it.
Good.
We get Kimberly saying, I would like to have an elevator and was wondering, do you create a spacing so I could get one put in?
We can. I'm going to tell you right now, Kimberly, I have never seen an elevator put in a house, and this includes my grandparents and my aunt and uncle, that has not had issues. It's
okay.
They are just money pits, including our office in Houston. Like, it's just, we have we don't anymore because we sold the building, thank the Lord, but we moved. But we had, like, you go into the elevator room, the mechanical room at that Durham building, we had like 5-gallon buckets of tractor hydraulic fluid because you're going to need it anytime. Like, it's just, elevators are a nightmare. They're necessary for some people. I get it. But residential ones in particular, the servicing, I tell you what, if you want to make a bunch of money, start you an elevator servicing company for residential homes and you'll write your ticket, because they're always failing. Always. I cannot recommend a good brand with integrity. I can't do it. I don't know one that works well. I don't know one that's good long term. I don't know a company that stands behind it. I do not. So I'm not going to drag any of them through the mud. I'm just saying I've never experienced one at all that goes well.
Okay. So we're going to file a list with these. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. We can make a space.
Yeah, we can make space. All right. We got Janet asking, can you recommend a firebox for wood burning? We wanted them that, it seems so much more expensive than gas in a Brazoria home.
Yeah, they're way more expensive than gas because they have to be their own combustible airspace. So that's the biggest thing is trying to pass the air changes per hour test. So the code requires a very tight home these days, right? So they want very few air changes per hour. So we're using spray foam, which accomplishes that. Super tight house, super efficient, very low energy bills. It's great. And then a wood burning fireplace, you're punching wood needs oxygen, air to burn. So with a gas fireplace, you have fuel, right? You're supplying it with its own gas supply. It's burning that, and the logs and the porcelain logs look all pretty. On a wood burning fireplace, you're going to burn wood. Well, you need a couple of things. You need to be able to ignite that wood, and then you need to be able to keep it burning. You need fresh air to do that. And so we are deliberately designing these homes to not have leaky fresh air through the walls. We design fresh air to come in through the HVAC system, through a fresh air intake, and a dehumidifier, and all this kind of stuff. But that fresh air is being pulled directly into the HVAC system. It's not being just dumped into the house by design. We have sealed up all your windows, your doors, exterior toe plates, ceilings, cathedral ceilings, corners of wall. Everything is sealed up to make sure that your home doesn't have a bunch of fresh air leaks. Mainly the cold air that you're paying for in the 9 months of the year, or 10 months of the year, depending on where you are, that we're paying to cool air. So we have to put when someone wants wood burning, we have to put highly sophisticated wood burning fireplaces in that have their own combustible air inside and fresh air intakes. That's what makes them more expensive. The days are over. We can just stick a metal firebox in there that's wood burning and it'll be good to go. You will not be able to keep a fire going. So that's the biggest. So I mean, the Constitution and the Pioneer are about the only ones. You know, I see the Villa Wood. Yeah, I guess we have the Constitution, the Pioneer 3, and the Villa Wood. You know, depending on size, those are your wood burning fireplaces that we offer in our portfolio. They all have the, you know, sealed doors. They have their own combustible air supply and all that kind of good stuff that'll pass the air changes per hour and still maybe burn a fire. But I do want people to don't get the idea in your head that you're going to be able to heat your home with a fireplace. Those days are over.
No.
That's not a thing anymore. It cannot be done and meet the energy code.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
Ambiance.
All right. Sherry asked for an email address for us, and I did drop that into the chat as well. But you guys can email us at tilsonnews@tilsonhome.com, and both of us will see that. So you can send that there. Joe is saying, great information, y'all. Thank you. I received an email from Faith, which should be my best contact for my next steps. Yes, Faith can set you up, you know, answer any other questions you have and get you connected with a consultant to get you going. So yeah, she's a great resource for you.
Of course.
All right.
Well, we are right there. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us. Now we got a couple of things going on. Obviously, the road doesn't end here. You can get a hold of us other ways. We have a Facebook page. Don just put an email address up there. TilsonNews.com. We have a YouTube channel with tons and tons of information. We got a website. It's open 24/7. We got 12 locations open 7 days a week. And speaking of those 12 locations, Dawn, what is going on this weekend at our locations?
So let's see, we do have a seminar in our Waco office, but then we also have our grand reopening celebration happening in our San Marcos office. Let me put up, there's a QR code for you, and I'm going to drop a link into the chat as well. You guys can still register for that. We do have a construction seminar there, and we do have a food truck coming out. Eric and I will be there, and a bunch of other construction folks and marketing folks and lots of people. So come out, meet everybody, take a look at our new San Marcos office. We just finished their sales office. We've got the newer Polidoro model out there, and we did a refresh on our Guadalupe model. So lots of things to see. So come out and visit us. You can register at that link and at that QR code. And then next Saturday, we are going to have the first Muddy Boots event of the season. It was finally starting. We took Fake Fall seriously and decided it's gotten cool enough. So I'm dropping that link into the chat for anybody who wants to register for that. But that is next weekend. We are actually doing the Muddy Boots, which lets you see behind the sheetrock on an actual customer home. So I dropped in the link that you guys can register for that. So lots of exciting things happening. Opportunity to see different phases of the process and talk to a bunch of our team members.
Awesome. Yeah. So like Don said, join us out there this Saturday in San Marcos. We will be there. We'll have food. We'll have information. There'll be other Tilson like-minded people out there learning things, mixing it up with them. We'll have a good old hill country time. We'll celebrate the re-grand opening of that exactly, the sales center and the Polidoro model and the Guadalupe model. So the San Marcos team will be there in full force to answer questions. And yeah, so we're excited about that. Can't wait to see you guys. Obviously, send us information. The conversation doesn't have to end here. We have the website. We have the YouTube channel. We have the Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We have the design centers, staff of people 7 days a week. We got new home specialists on standby like Faith and everybody else that are ready to answer your questions and get you set up with an appointment at one of our design centers and further you along this process. We want to help you make this dream a reality. So with that said, we hope to see you at one of these events soon. And between now and then, we really soon hope to make you part of the Tilson family. We'll see y'all later.
Bye, everybody.